bugs. Let's ping the chat. We are live. It's like a 50-50 chance if OBS will crash on me when I hit the live button. I don't know. I mean, I probably know why. It's probably because of the plugins and stuff I have in OBS and stuff like that that all crumble. But we will give people a couple moments to join us, to hop in. I will drop our Discord channel. Hello and welcome, everybody. That's only for 30 days. Give me a full, no limit, and generate new link. Copy. There we go. Hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us on today's live stream. We got some fun stuff to go through, and it might take a little bit. The other thing I have to do is ban the bot. No bots allowed in the Discord. It happened right as I was firing it up. Ban and delete everything forever. I try to really get a good handle on those bots and the METATAILOR. Ban. Did it work? Ban. Why is that not working? Delete message. There it goes. Awesome. All right, just waiting for a couple people to hop in and join us. Got our Discord pulled up. We had some neat questions. Let's see. I mean, this whole live stream was... Oh my gosh, he's still there. Why is my mod view not banning them? Ban. Now I'm frustrated. I'll spin through the rest later and make sure that's all deleted. Let's refresh the Discord, see if that does it. We got a couple of people here. What I was saying when I was trying to go to general chat and take a look at it is this was actually inspired by... I think it was was it Tony Lopez? No, it was Jack Zero. This was inspired by Jack Zero. Jack Zero, they were specifically asking about the DAZ to METATAILOR pipeline. And I don't have DAZ 3D. I have not really used DAZ 3D as an application before. So I do plan to it's not going to be hard for me to learn. And I know Maya, I know Blender, I know METATAILOR, I know Unreal. It's not going to be hard for me to hop into DAZ and figure out DAZ. I just have to find the time to do it. But they were asking about the full pipeline walkthrough of DAZ to Unreal. And I can't necessarily do DAZ to Unreal, but I can do an asset out of Unreal that was not made for any of these programs back into Unreal, but with the METATAILOR outfit. And I thought that's a perfect way to kind of show everything we've done so far in the month of June, because month of June was summer school. Got to think of a new theme for July. But month of June was for summer school, and so it's finals. That's what we're going to jump into. So that's kind of where the idea for this stream came from. I knew I wanted to keep it school themed, and I was going to actually focus on tools and stuff like that. But when Jack Zero asked that, like I steal from my community all the time. I'm like, that's a great idea. Let's show it. So that's what we're going to do today. I'll do the official announcement. I'll say this again in a second once more people hop on. Hello, Morgan. Collared shirt over the shirt. Classic Mark. Morgan's just teasing me because this is actually probably the same exact shirt I sent you a picture of, because he was asking me what kind of METATAILOR shirt I want. Like anything that I can wear a collared shirt over. So I'm getting hazed and bullied by Morgan. So please, if you're my community, make sure Morgan loves anime suggestions. He's never watched Lord of the Rings, so you're more than welcome to find Morgan in the Discord or here in the chat and give him great suggestions and send him clips for Lord of the Rings. 2 favorite things. But yeah, no, he's just teasing me. This is my default look. Cool, so let's jump into it. It's 11:07, I'm already late. Hi everybody, and welcome to the weekly METATAILOR live stream. Today's live stream, as I was talking about just a second ago, is walking through the entire pipeline. We talked about how to import clothes, we talked about how to import avatars, we talked about the actual plugins for Character Creator 4 and 5 and Unreal and Unity in this month of summer school. So today is our finals, and we're just going to do the whole thing. We're going to test this whole pipeline. All of these different steps we learned, we're going to test. If I have time at the end, I actually have a brand new avatar I just paid for personal reasons that we could try to bring it in METATAILOR and take a look at. But that's if we have time. My main focus today is there was that fab asset that I linked in Discord. I'll link it in here as well because I've got it open. Let's go to my announcements. Let's grab that link for that fab asset. This fab asset is temporarily free. It's part of their month of free stuff or whatever. So limited time free. It's this fab asset. It was really cool. I love this look. I love this Overwatch pseudo like stylized look, but it still feels real. That is like my bread and butter for video games. I love the look of that. PBR stuff, all that stuff, fantastic. MetaHuman's fantastic. But me personally, I like games that look like this or look like 1990s, early 2000s Pokemon. That's kind of my range. The only game I've probably played more than Valheim and Pokemon is Team Fortress 2, and I've not played that in a long time. And then after that would be like Overwatch. Those are my games back in the day. So, but that is what we're taking a look at. Let's go ahead and jump into it. No big announcements from METATAILOR. So we are now just in the wings for preparing for SIGGRAPH. That is our next big show. We're going to be at SIGGRAPH. I've got the booth number. I'll be posting it to our social media. So make sure you follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, X. We've got a Reddit channel to get posted there, Discord, YouTube. As soon as I have all the stuff ready to go and post, we'll post about where our booth is at SIGGRAPH if you're going to be there. And we've got a lot of really great things we are prepping for SIGGRAPH, so you might see some of these channels slow down a bit as our team is in super crunch mode getting ready for this big event. And with that, kind of all the METATAILOR 3 stuff we're working on. On top of SIGGRAPH, we're still working on METATAILOR 3. We're still pushing stuff out. I missed a dev update on X yesterday because I knew what the dev update was, and it's not up to date yet. So it might come a day later or maybe even tomorrow, but as soon as I get that dev update from Shane and what he's working on, we will be posting that to X. Enough babbling. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at what we're working on today. Let's go. Hi, 2K Films. 2K Films has been here for a long time. 2K Films has been here, I think, since before I've been here. Looking at like the Discord history and stuff like that. I am pulling up my Unreal. Let's jump screens. Right plus me. There we go. There's my head. So I am in Unreal, just a 5.7 Unreal Engine. I was going to show 5.8, but that plugin's not working for you guys yet. It's working in other places. It's working. It's been QA'd. It's been tested. We're just testing or getting final approval to push that out. So the Unreal Engine 5.8 bridge update should be coming. Don't hold me to this. This is not a promise. It could change, but my understanding is it should be pushed out today. So if you're here, if you're watching, if you're waiting for that news, the 5.8 Unreal Bridge update should be pushed out today, but I haven't gotten full permission to say that, so I'm breaking rules by telling you that now. So, but keep an eye out for that. I'll be posting on Discord all about it once it's ready to go to update your METATAILORs. But I've got Unreal 5.7 open, and this is the poly art, these modular stylized characters. Let's pull up the actual blueprints of the characters. There they are. So here is, they call it Alara and Garrett, two really cool characters. There's Alara, there's Garrett wearing the same outfit. Now the person who made this probably had to do a lot of work in ZBrush and everything else to create, oops, I'm on the wrong one. Control Z, put you back. Don't click on that, there we go. Had to do a lot of work to get these to fit these two, I'm sorry. Joe Renzo, my live demo guy, you're gone. So they got these two really cool characters in the same outfit that they probably had to model and sculpt to fit across these two avatars. But I really like the look of this. I really like the design. And I wanted to walk everybody through my process of how I would take this out of Unreal, bring it into Maya to check it and do all that stuff, and then of course move it over to METATAILOR to bring back into Unreal to put on a MetaHuman, to put on any character, and we'll give that whole thing a try. Like I said, I'll run through this. If I've got time at the end, I should. I don't think I have any other more important work to do after this. No, I don't have anything for a little while. Just making sure, yeah. So I will also put this onto a brand new avatar I've never uploaded to METATAILOR. So that might be a little bit of bug hunting. We might be doing that together, but we'll go ahead and take a look at that. So I've got these two characters. They're in Unreal. We paid for them on Fab. They're free, but if you're missing this and you're watching this after the fact, they might cost money. But we got these off of Fab, and now I want to bring them and put these outfits, not necessarily these characters, but I want to put these outfits on all my other stuff. I want this outfit to kind of transfer. That's what we're going to do. So I've already actually pulled all the outfit pieces off of the male character. I don't think I grabbed the male avatar, so let's do that together, because the process of grabbing the male avatar and grabbing all of the assets is the same. You go into it, you grab the pieces, you export them out. I'm just going to double check myself to make sure I'm not duplicating this avatar. There's our male armor. I've got all that fantasy armor, male poly armor. Nope, I've got just the armor. Very cool. If I can take all of you and drop you into there. So let's actually try to grab the male avatar together, and then we can bring that avatar in, and I'll bring in a new avatar. We're just gonna have a lot of fun today. All right, so I am going to open up the blueprint for, actually, no. So what I found out is in this blueprint, it looks really cool. I can double click on the blueprint, pull everything up, but my knowledge of Unreal doesn't know how to necessarily strip this character in the blueprint viewport and see the body, because these are modular pieces, which is really cool. And you can swap these out and do that, but they're not a whole character. And there's probably a faster way to tackle this, but my way of doing it is a little bit different. So we've got this character. Let's grab this avatar and get this avatar over to METATAILOR. The way I'm going to do this is not using the bridge. So I'm going to go into our meshes, skeletal meshes, character modular parts, male, and he's got all of these modular parts in here. We've got our head, and they've got a cell shaded one. Let's grab the cell shaded one. I probably won't use the cell shaded one, but I want to see how cell shaded looks inside of METATAILOR. So it's got a couple options. So we got the head. Let's go ahead and zoom this up. Oops, I'm trying to hit this little line right here. There we go. So we've got coming in here, you can see here's all the clothing pieces. And what I would do is on, say, this clothing piece, I'd right click on it and I would go to Asset Actions and I hit Export. And that would export this out as an FBX. And that's what I was doing for each and every one of these pieces. And like I said, to save time, I've already done this for you. It is all in here, and I've already edited all of them in Maya. I will edit one in Maya to show you how I did that, but overall, I've gotten all these pieces done for you. So there's like the armor, but I want to get the naked avatar. So to do that, I would grab the head, I would grab the legs, I would grab the torso, I would grab the hands right here, I would grab the feet, and those are all the parts. I'm just double checking myself. Those are all the parts, and I can click and I can drag these into here. And so there you see, they have the whole avatar naked inside of Unreal. There he is. So I can take this avatar and I can bring this over to METATAILOR. And I didn't even need to take it through Mixamo. I did test this with the female avatar and it worked just fine. So we've got the male avatar with all those parts, but like I said, I wanted to grab the cell shaded. So I'm just gonna go down one more on each of these and grab the cell shaded version because I am interested to see what that looks like. Hands, feet, head, legs, torso. Grab all of those and bring those over here. I'm just gonna bring them way over here so I can focus on them over here. And there is our cell shaded character. He looks really cool. It's a little bright in this scene, so he's kind of popping a little bit too much, but let's go ahead and bring this avatar in. So I'm going to grab all these pieces again, right click, and I know I did not bring these assets in one at a time, or maybe I did import all of them into one file. Let's do that. Trying to remember how I did this like 3 days ago. Let's grab all of these cell shaded ones again. Right click, edit assets, asset action. That's what I was looking for. Asset action, export. I don't need to do a bulk export. I'm going to put this under my desktop. We can new folder real quick and call this our male avatar right there. Jump in there and save all of these files in here. It brought out my FBX exporter options. I'll just go ahead and hit export. Now, like I said, there's probably an easier way using the bridge to do this. Grab this character, put them into a blueprint, pull all these pieces into a blueprint, and send that over that way. And actually, we can give that a shot. Maybe that's what I did. That actually sounds familiar. This is what happens when you have 19 different things you're working on at the same time. You forget how you do certain things. But I brought all those assets over. That's how you can export them out. But let's pull all these into a blueprint. Is that what I did before? Characters, human imported, poly art, meshes. I don't see the blueprint part, so I probably didn't save it. Male, let's just create a new blueprint in here. New blueprint class. Call it an actor. Call this male avatar. Doesn't like spaces. Open that up. This is exactly what I did. I'm remembering all of this right now. And then, once again, grab all those assets. I'm going to pull this over to the other window just for a moment so I can do this. And let's grab our cell shaded pieces right here. I did do this. I brought them all into the blue. There we go. And then I was able to take this whole male avatar and send this over to METATAILOR. So I hit send to METATAILOR. It is going to come up with an issue, and that's an issue with this model. And that's because of how they built transparency in this model. It sent it to METATAILOR. Let's pop open METATAILOR. Here it is. Let's call it male finals. And so the issue is, oh, the cell shaded guy doesn't have the issue. He is very glowing. Let's go ahead and get rid of that emissive tone on his body. Ah, so it put it all under emissive. So however it's linking these pieces and stuff like that, it had some transparency issues before. And we can just turn all of these off by going through these. That's a really interesting way it exported this over. Now, as far as I am aware, this is not a UEFN model. This is not like a METATAILOR model. This rig, I can actually probably look at the fab asset itself and see how this rig was made. But what we need to do is we need to go ahead and grab those textures. So a lot of times when you're working in Unreal, it won't pull those textures over for you. So he's in here, but he doesn't have his textures. What I would do is I would go to this male torso and I would start looking at our reference viewer. And inside our reference viewer, it's going to show me our... There we go. It's going to show me our physics assets and our material asset. And I double click on our material asset right there, and there is our texture. And I can go to this texture on our male body, and I can go browse to asset. And so there's our 2D texture. I can close out of here. It should have brought me into it inside my content browser. And then in here, I'm going to just grab all the color maps and normal maps. For everything I need, I can skip the teeth. I don't need the teeth. I'll grab the hair. And I don't need the lower body. I don't need the, like I said, I don't need the teeth. And so that's it. So those 8 textures right there. You could go through and you could grab the ORM textures. Those are your ambient occlusion, your roughness, your metallic passes. You would need to take those into something like Photoshop and split those channels off because they are combined inside of Unreal for time-space optimization. Makes perfect sense, but METATAILOR does not have a way to read those ORM files and take out the red channel, the green channel, the blue channel. I've done videos on how to do that in the past. If you're interested in how to do that, let me know. I can walk you through it, or I can create a little short video for you if you don't know what I'm talking about. But that is just the way you would get those ambient occlusion, roughness, metalness textures out of Unreal to put into METATAILOR. Hello, is it recommended to import clothes exported from Unreal into Maya or Blender to merge the vertices? Stick with me, Witlinks. You're jumping ahead of the game. But you are absolutely right. That is the next step. Hello, nobody here, MFJ. But Witlinks, that is literally my next step. I will show you exactly how I do it. I do it in Maya. You can do it in Maya or Blender, whichever way you'd like. It's up to you, but I will walk you through that exact process. All right, so I'm gonna right-click on these and go to my asset actions again. I'm going to go ahead and hit export. It's gonna drop these out as PNGs under my male avatar. That's fine. Let's go ahead and hit save. It'll do it 8 times. Just gotta hit save 8 times as it goes through piece by piece by piece by piece by piece. And let's quick go through and add all of these back to our character. I'm not going to close out of Unreal. I will just minimize it because we're not done with it. We're going to come back and we'll put them in a different outfit or whatever we need to do. But we will not close out of this just yet. And go to our characters to find, oh, those that. No, we're into our meshes, skeletal meshes, male. There is our male avatar blueprint. All right, so let's go ahead and add these textures. We'll call this our, I'll just call it Adventure Male. Adventure Male. All right, let's go ahead and add these. I'm going to start with our body. Color, desktop, male avatar, hiding right there. And grab our body. And grab our normal. And there we go. And let's grab our cell shaded. We don't have teeth, so let's go to our face. Here's our face. Here's our face. There we go. And let's go to our, that looks so much better, hair. It did not export his hair, so that is fine. We can grab his hair as a separate piece, or I can use the female's hair, but we did not grab his hair. Let's grab our eyes. Oh, I can do hair for his eyebrows. His eyebrows do have hair. There it is, and we can add a normal map for that. Next step. All right, so this is our mesh extractor. We talked about the mesh extractor at nauseum in our, not the last stream, because that's where we talked about the state of Unreal. But the live stream before that, we did talk about the mesh extractor and how this works. It is fantastic for a character creator. I don't think it would work so well for this part because these are modular pieces. The arms are not separated from the gloves. I had to do that in Maya. So the arms there are arms with gloves and arms without gloves. So the mesh extractor isn't necessarily ideal for this portion. If I had brought in the hair, I could bring the hair in and extract off the hair. That's probably what I should have done, but we can import the hair a separate way. And let's go ahead and hit next step. And now our landmarks. Now the fact that it landed these landmarks so well makes me think maybe this is a UEFN model. And we'll take a quick, looking for modular stylized. I'm just taking a look at the actual stylized character right here. Unique meshes, collision, LODs. I did delete the LODs. Rigged on to epic or metahuman skeleton. So that's why it's working. So it might be, it's probably the metahuman skeleton it's picking up on. Which is really cool. That makes our life so much easier. So let's take a look. Heels, toes, knees, legs, belly, neck, arms, elbows, wrist, nose tips, skull crown. This did a much better job than the female model. The female model, when I tested that one, I did have to move a couple of the landmarks, like the skull base was off and stuff like that. It probably had to do with them having hair, but this did a really good job without that information. Oh, there's a skull base. Aha, no, I am right. So this one also forgot the skull base. Good thing I peeked over here. So it did the same thing as the female model. And the female model, a couple of these were also slightly off. It just didn't know where to put the skull base. So we just have to bring that one landmark over and place it. Right there in the center. That's looking good. All right, next step. And let's bring our adventure mail in. Now, while it's bringing that in, it's going to take 2 seconds, but let's quick grab that hair. And let's hit, oh, that's the physics asset. Dismiss, go away. Where is our actual hair asset? Here's our cell shaded hair asset. Asset actions, let's export that out. Perfect, I will bring that over, export. I just hit export in my dialog box to the left. And let's grab another piece. What was a good piece on this male character that I can show you how to delete the caps? That's gonna be this chest piece. We've got the cell-shaded one. Let's grab the cell-shaded chest piece. That's the physics asset. That's the skeletal mesh asset of the cell-shaded chest piece. All right, right-click on that. Asset actions. Export. The male armor cell-shaded. That's under the male avatar. That's fine. And we have to do one more thing. We still have to hop into that and grab the textures for this one. It'll be in the same spot, but I forgot where that is, so I double-clicked on it. The other way we can locate those textures is by going to the actual material right here and hitting find the material and the color right there in the content browser. And there it is. Male upper, and right-click on those and go to Asset Actions and export those real quick. All right, so he is inside of METATAILOR as an avatar. I can now use this avatar however and wherever I want. But now let's jump over to Witlinks, what Witlinks was asking. We've got the avatar, but now I need to check these assets inside of Maya. So let's open up Maya and check these assets. Now, not all assets you need to check in Maya. You could check it in Blender, you could check it in 3ds Max, you can check it in whatever program works for you. I choose Maya because that's my native 3D, what's the word I'm looking for? It's 3D content, 3D CG, I forget. I've got a word for it. You're not super late, Middle Monster. I started a little late. All we've done so far, Middle Monster, is bring this avatar from Unreal into METATAILOR. And I talked about 2 different ways you could do it. You could either export all the modular pieces and bring them into Maya and kind of build them that way, or I just brought the naked version of this model into a blueprint in Unreal and used the METATAILOR bridge to send it over. And it worked very well. And so that's the only thing you've missed. The other thing I did is I exported out a chest piece and a hair piece to show you how the pipeline works for that. So that is what I'm jumping into right now. I've got Maya open. I've exported out the chest piece and the hair piece. And those are the 2 I want to take a look at inside of Maya to make sure they're right. Like I said, the use of Maya is not necessary for every piece. If you're pulling something from Character Creator or even MetaHuman, you don't need to open it up in Maya. The times I open up Maya are when I'm pulling something like this from Unreal Engine, or if I'm pulling it off the web, like from Sketchfab or DeviantArt. I always want to check those in Maya before I play with them, just to see what they're going to do. So let's find my male avatar right here on my desktop. DCC, thank you, B-Rad. DCC, I've said it 100 times. It slipped my mind. You nailed it. So there's the hair. I'm going to drag and click the hair in here, and there is the armor cell shaded. So those are the two pieces I just dragged into Maya. Right there, we can turn off. Why are you doing that? Let's just do this. There we go. So here are the two pieces, the hair and the chest. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open these up, and I'm going to delete the LODs. I'm going to delete my skeleton, and I'm going to delete the LODs because I don't want to import all of these LODs. So I've got LOD 0 right here. You can see there's 1, 2, 3 in here as well. Take you guys out. Shift P, take you out of there. You can see all those laying on the ground in different, I mean, if you needed lower LODs, you absolutely could, but I'm going to delete those and just keep it at LOD 0, which let's do this. I don't want it to rotate, so I'm going to unlock selected, and now let's hit Shift P. There we go. And I can hit modify his delete history and freeze my transformations on it. So there is the armor piece. The hair itself is actually doing okay. I will still take you out so I don't have the multiple LODs. Oh, I forgot to do the hair right there. You should be okay. You're not locked. You are locked. Take you out. Unlock selected and do that. And there we go. What are you? Oh, you're a different note. I messed it up. I'm moving too fast. I messed it up. So let me, you guys are going to get a quick little lesson in channel control. Maya. Don't mind me, I just hit the wrong button. All right. Ignore what you just saw. There we go. Where is that hair? Where's my hair? There you are. And move you -90 on the X. Is that right? Yes, there we go. There we go. All right, so the hair is A-okay. It is good to go. I don't need to change or edit anything on the hair. If I wanted to, I could attach the textures now inside of Maya, and that'll make my life a little bit easier in METATAILOR, but let's just get this hair out of here. I'll attach those when I import this piece itself. So File, Export Selection, go to Desktop, go to my, you guys can't see what I'm clicking on, go to my male avatar, because that's where all the other pieces are, and call it hair. And delete. Now let's take a look at this armor. So this is the step that does require Maya. This is where I check my Sketchfab assets, my Fab assets, everything along those lines to make sure they're ready to go into METATAILOR. These assets come in with caps. The caps are at the top, the arms, and the bottom. And I need to delete those. You don't have to delete the caps. METATAILOR will work and push pieces through the caps, especially caps like this one. Caps like these are pretty A-okay because they're a single vert. However, if you get those really junky caps where they're just kind of like a fill hole and they've just got a triangulated or quadrangulated mesh inside of it, those have a tendency to crush and move away from the model just based on how they're rigged, based on their vertice position. So those caps are definitely caps I want to try to delete. This cap I don't have to, but I will because it just makes for cleaner, more optimized meshes. So I'm just going to go into my vertex, click on my vertex right there, this vertex here, this vertex on the bottom, and this vertex over here, and I'm just going to delete those faces. Now, once again, this isn't a Maya lecture, so everything I'm doing, I realize I'm going a little bit quick in Maya, assuming you know a DCC of your own, of like Blender, 3ds Max, or maybe you are Maya just like myself, but that way you can just go through and do everything I'm doing, and you just kind of know, oh, I just need to delete the faces on the cap. So there we go. There's one more. This one has a lot of caps. Two faces. There. Oh my gosh, there's one more. It's never ending. There we go. So you can see all of those caps have now been deleted, so I can see through my mesh. And I can take this, File, Export Selection, in the same folder as everything else, Male Chest. There we go. That is the Maya side of it. I just open it in Maya, make sure it's sitting in a Y up axis. This came from Unreal, so you saw I kind of rotated that on the X axis to make sure it didn't come in forward. You can edit that, you could change it. It just makes my life easier. And the other thing I do is I delete those caps. Now there are some other pieces. I will delete this one, and let's pull in from before. There was a really neat piece of armor here. Let's grab the male, not the hood. It's going to be the shoulders. So old FBX, male shoulders. So this piece I did tackle a little bit differently. It came in just like the others. I deleted the skeleton, I deleted the levels of detail, but you'll notice these armbands have a cap. The top does not, so I deleted those caps on the armband, but the other thing I did is I did split these armbands to be their own. I did take these out and brought them in as their own asset, so they weren't one with the shoulders. And you'll see that when I go in there and how I did that. I just wanted to show you some of these pieces I did split off and turn into 2 FBXs. But that's all I did inside of Maya. Now the chat has been popping off, and I've just been kind of doing my lecture portion of this, of the presentation here, but let me go ahead and take a look at what chat has been saying. All right, so diligence is the mother of success. Absolutely. Hi there, Santos Forge. Sometimes I have issues with meshes like that. For example, that one has a belt, and sometimes the cloth overlaps the belt on METATAILOR. Any way to prevent that? Santos, we'll see. Let's take a look. I'm not entirely positive what you're talking about. If you send examples in the Discord or to me directly, I could answer that much better. But without seeing it, it's hard to truly diagnose. But METATAILOR should be able to work against that. Middle Monster, I'm so glad I took that crash course in Maya last year. I'm not completely lost. Amazing. I am a Maya expert. If you have any questions on Maya, I teach Maya at local colleges around. Like I'm a professor outside of here. I teach Maya at colleges around me. Professor is the wrong term. My actual professor friends will beat me up because I don't have a doctorate. But I do teach at Maya at a college level. So if you're ever curious, let me know. I'm happy to help you guys learn Maya or walk you through what I'm doing. What is my name again? I'm Mark. I'm Mark from METATAILOR. I'm Mark in the Discord as well. You can find me there. Spelled the correct way. And I got through all of the messages. So hello, Middle Monster. Hello, Santos Forge. Let's jump into METATAILOR. So I've got those prepped in Maya. They're ready to go. Let's start bringing the pieces in. So let's go ahead and start with an import, cloth and accessory. Let's grab his hair. We've got our hair right here. Color, grab our hair. It's got a value of 0, so I'm going to dial that value all the way up. That's why we're not seeing that color. And there we go. There's our hair. Cell-shaded hair. Now let's grab the normal map real quick just to give it a little extra fluff. And there's our hair. Next step. Now we choose where we want it to go. We'll call it head because it's hair. And you'll notice it's off a little bit. That's because METATAILOR is saying, hey, you want this in the head? We're going to move this mesh and scale it to where we think is kind of the right size. And for pieces that don't go with the avatars, this is fantastic. It puts us in the right spot. However, we have a lucky situation here where this hair was designed for this avatar. So all I have to do is hit apply source dimensions right here, and that hair matches perfectly, which also makes the next step right here super easy. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to move it, manipulate it, pose match it, or get it to work in any way, shape, or form. It just works. So I just hit next step, and the hair is applied to our wonderful character in the right spot. But not only that, that hair is now there for every avatar. If I go to avatars and I flip over to this orc avatar and want to give him some nice hair, it transfers over and it puts it in the right spot. Having that already built for that avatar makes the asset better. It makes it more accurate. Just a fun little fact. If you can get the asset for it, amazing. And now he looks very dapper with that haircut. But let's go back to our male avatar. Well, before I do that, to give you guys the full lesson, the full breakdown, let's actually instead grab Kevin. Big Kev. Because Big Kev is not made for these clothing pieces. So I'm going to use Big Kev to bring in one of the clothing pieces. Specifically, let's do the cell-shaded armor. Because the rest of the armor I have that is not cell-shaded is actually designed for that character. So we'll build all those for that character right off the bat. But let's show you how to bring in a piece for an avatar that it was never meant for. So this is a character creator 4 avatar called Big Kev. You can see the hair is sitting there nicely. Let's import in a piece. Let's go cloth and accessories, and I'm going to grab the male chest. This male chest is the one we just exported. I'm going to go ahead and dial up my value, and you'll see there's a couple pieces here, dial up my value of his actual chest and stuff like that. So this is the actual upper body. So I'm going to go to my upper body right here, and there's our cell shaded upper body. Let's grab the normal map for that. There's our cell shaded upper body. Now let's go to our actual body. That's going to be this upper body here. Give some skin, some shirt underneath, and add a normal map for that. So there's the textures on this piece. And once again, this was made for the male avatar, a metahuman avatar. We're about to put this on a character create avatar. We can call it a jacket. We can call it a shirt. I'm going to call this a shirt. I can hit keep source dimensions, but you'll notice it didn't land perfectly this time because once again, this was made for a metahuman rig, and the character we have right now is a character creator 4 rig. So it gets close enough, and this is where the pose matching is. And the reason why I'm doing this and not just doing it perfectly right off the bat is I would be remiss if I did not show you how to actually use this pose match feature, which is 90% of the magic in METATAILOR. This is what makes METATAILOR amazing. So you'll see I kind of line this up. And if you've ever been in one of my live streams, you know my goal when we're doing this, my goal is to hit the shoulders and the neck. Those are the first areas you aim for in this jacket shirt. If you get those scaled correctly, the rest of it just falls into place. So notice I did a pretty good job. I left a little weight there. That looks good. I like the look of that, but his chest is sticking out. I can go into my pose match if I wanted to, and I can start pulling, let's say, his hips forward a little bit to get those to match a little bit better. But oh no, my chest is sticking out a little bit more. I can bring those hips in, make them a little bit smaller to fit that gap a little bit better and fit there, but there's still body parts and parts of this sticking out. That is a-okay, and in fact, we kind of want that. METATAILOR does an amazing job of making this fit with maybe just 60% accuracy. Less. You can absolutely have stuff clipping out of the armor. This portion right here does not need to be perfect. You can land this with just 60% accuracy. I could leave this like this and it'll still do well. I'll go ahead and hit confirm, next step, and it'll put this into position. Sometimes having that clipping is beneficial because it gets you a tighter fit to the body. And we watch, and it applies those blend shapes. The body is sticking out a little bit right there, but that's where the thickness brush comes in handy. And we add a little bit of thickness, and it fixes that. We can see it's pushing through right here. This is probably not actually the model pushing through. This is probably that inside shirt. Sorry for the angle there. This is probably this inside shirt pushing through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this. I'm going to use my push-pull tool. I'm going to hit sculpt. I can choose sculpt original or sculpt layered. Sculpt original brings it back to its original shape, and you can sculpt from there. That is considered non-destructive. Sculpt layered is considered destructive. It's going to save this armor in this state, and it's going to let me change it, which is what I want to do right here because I've got just this one little guy right there. And you can see there's that one vertice. There's that one vertice I need to change. It's working for me by default because I am set to surface. If I was set to world space, it would not necessarily grab just that one vert. It would grab all the verts around it. It grabs whatever is in the center of that reticle. That is the difference between world space and surface. If you're familiar with this, remember this is a training video. So if you're like, Mark, I know all this stuff. Stop talking about it. This is not helpful. It is for our newer users, so bear with me. But yeah, so there is the world space. The surface is what I wanted. Full island is very cool. Full island lets you grab the entire piece. That helps with buttons and buckles, like this buckle. If I wanted to just adjust this buckle, I could do that with full island. But I am looking for surface, and I'm just going to hit that vert right there. It pulled it out the wrong way, so I'm going to hold shift, and I'm just going to slowly tap and push that in and grab. Now I move my brush a little bit. Maybe didn't notice. It was very subtle, but I moved my brush a little bit, and I just started pulling out the chest actual outside there, and I fixed it. Now let's hit confirm, let it retailor, and now that piece is gone. So yeah, that was that inside mesh of the armor pushing through the outside mesh. That was not the actual avatar itself, so no matter how much I pulled that thickness, it probably wouldn't clear that one little clipped frame. And that's the point of the tools. That's how powerful our tools are. And now if I wanted to, I can go to my content browser, go back to male avatar. Where are you? I just made you... Oh, Adventure Mail, that's what I named it. That's why. And transfer. Now he's got his hair back and he's got his armor back. Let's quick burn through this. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this armor. And I will close out of this. And let's go ahead and import all the pieces that I already prepped in Maya and show you how it kind of looks after doing all that Maya prep, after doing it took me probably 30 minutes to an hour in Maya to get all these pieces ready and cleaned up. It didn't take a very long time, but it did take longer than we have on the stream to go through every single piece. But let's go ahead and import those pieces, and I can show you how easy it is if it's made for the model. So import cloth and accessories. I'm going to move out of male avatar, and I'm going to go to male armor, where I have all this. And let's start with on top. So this was the actual armor imported. This is the non-cell shaded version. The value is a little different. You can see that. Smoothness metallic, that's a little bit different. We can add our normal map to this. It is the wrong body. Actually, we can sneak over to male avatar and grab the male body proper, because I did not grab the normal map for that. And here's our upper body. That we can go back to male armor and grab the proper normal map. Normal maps just make everything look better. So this was a different export out of Unreal. That's why it looks different, different colors, different mesh. Let's go ahead and hit next step. Call this not a full body. I wanted to call this a shirt. Where's shirt? Jackets. There's shirts. I'm used to this in my super wide screen, so the icons are in different places. Next step. Oh, previous step, because I forgot to hit apply source dimensions, and next step. And then I don't need to pose match. It just works. Next step. All right, let's see. Imagine, for example, an asset that has a shirt and a jacket in the same asset. Sometimes I see the shirt has the jacket, a shirt that's beneath the jacket. It's hard to explain. I think I just kind of showed that to you, Santos Forge, but we'll see if I can't display that a little bit better here. If you use layer settings to adjust clothing to the character and then change the avatars, do the settings reset or are they retained? They are saved for this window. They are not saved if you were to close this project and reopen it. It is saved for this asset right now, but it is not saved for everything going forward. So if I was to take, say, this chest right here, and I was to take a push-pull, sculpt layered, I'm going to test myself here because I'm 90% positive I'm right. And let's say I just make this huge. I give them, just really warp this. Pull out something really wild and pull that out really weird like that. It should confirm. Save that, and if I go to a different avatar, it'll take all those changes. Oh, it did not take those changes. I am wrong. That happens frequently. I know some things save, but that one didn't. So that change did not save. If Shane's here, Shane would be yelling at me. Shane would be screaming in the chat, being like, Mark, I know that's wrong. But look how easy that went over. So no, it did not change. It did not save. That's a good note. I know the layer masking does. I know there's other tools in my secret new version of METATAILOR that I've been doing stuff that you guys cannot see. In my am I testing a version of METATAILOR 3? Yes. Is it the final version of METATAILOR 3? Absolutely not. Does it have some of the new tools I can't talk about? Absolutely. And I know it works in that one. So that is or certain things in that work how I expected it to. And that is where I'm getting confused. But no, thank you. Great question, Whitlinks. It did not. If I saved it as a variant, it could. We'll try it. When you shape an asset to an avatar, is it saved as a new asset each time? No, Middle Monster, you'd have to save it as a variant. So it saves this as its default state. It saves this fantasy armor that I brought in. That is the default state. If I wanted a change applied to this Middle Monster, I would do the save as variant. And we're going to find out if the save as variant together has my changes. So we got that. Confirm. This is the taxonomy. This is, so save as variant. So you can hit these three little dots and you can save anything as a variant. Save as variant. It's an MTA. Bumpy shirt. Clothing. All. All right. Let's go ahead and I'm going to reset this asset for now. Reset to original. Let's go ahead and close out of you. Let's go ahead and import. I want to import an MTA. Is it going to let me import an MTA? It's not going to let me import. It did let me import MTA, and there's that bumpy shirt. Ta-da! And now, if I go to my avatars, it should transfer that over. It did. So there you go. Great questions, Middle Monster and Witlinks, and I think by proxy Santos Forge. That is something I don't do very often, but for people who are designing games, for people who are doing this, that is extremely important, is the ability to save off a variant. It saves it off as a METATAILOR asset, an MTA, and that now saves those changes. And now that bumpy asset exists in my library. That is now bumpy shirt, and then I can apply this one and bring that back. I wanted to apply this one. And there's the regular fantasy one, not my bumpy one. So now I have two variations. So that is how you can save that across. And that'll work across everything. I've got bumpy and I've got regular. I called it Mail Adventure instead of Adventure Mail. So great questions. And thank you for making me test that live. All right, so there's that. Let's go ahead and get our regular fantasy chest on here. Let's go ahead and import cloth and accessories. Let's grab our belt. So this is a different belt. So this is kind of coming to Santos Forge's question. Our value's up. Let's grab our normal map for the lower body here. Next step, call this pants. I'm not calling it a belt. So this does not fall into our alignment chart. But you guys will be mad at what I do call a belt. I will have to pull up my alignment chart this stream. I'm happy. We haven't brought it up in a while. And I don't need to pose match anything. If I wanted to, so pose matching in this position, it might be pseudo beneficial. Only because these hands are a little bit close. These hands will not affect this. But if you had a tighter A pose, if you had a character whose hands were much closer to their hips, sometimes it's beneficial to go into start pose match and just pull those arms away to make sure they are not within proximity to start affecting the skin weighting. Because if those were closer, they would affect the skin weighting. So if I pull those arms up into a T pose and hit confirm, then I can hit next step, and I guarantee they have no effect on this skirt. And this skirt, this part right here, is more so just part of his torso. Ha ha ha! I'm a brilliant rhymer. I should rap. Morgan, I hope you're not watching. Don't hold me to that. All right, so let's kind of talk about a little bit what Santos Forge was. So Santos Forge was saying specifically sometimes when they import an asset, the way it's pushing is it could push outwards through the piece. I don't know if I'm going to have a piece that will do that. That was kind of what we were seeing with that clipping coming through the shirt there. So being able to adjust and manipulate it that way could cause that. The best way to avoid that would be, if you can, separate the belt and the jacket. That way they are considered as two separate assets in the layer stack and they won't clip through each other. But if you have a piece that doesn't offer that, that doesn't have that functionality, and actually I do think I have, let's see, do I have the tacit? I hate this piece. No offense to character creator. This is a character creator piece, this tacit that comes through, and a lot of times it does exactly, so it's doing exactly what you're saying. So right here, so this is one piece. I'm gonna get rid of you for right now. So this tacit, you can see it's starting to clip through the belt a little bit, especially when there's pieces underneath it. It starts to clip through. And so when that happens, I guess let's put a piece back in here. Let's put you back in here because you were what was causing it. So you can see the actual tacit itself is kind of coming through the piece right here. There's a couple ways you can tackle that, Santos. So this is a little bit less than what you were explaining. It sounds like you were explaining is a little bit more of a bigger issue. But what you can do is, the first thing you can try, of course, is always messing with thickness and yield to see if that gets rid of some of that for you. Yield, if I start to bring that down, yield starts to kind of hold its original shape. Yield, I can't, like, how yield works for me is I scrub it and it stops that clipping. How yield actually works, I can't form the words right now. I would need Shane's description. Shane would need to give me their very technical wizard description of it, and then I could bring it into English terms. But the way yield is working is it's stopping that from pushing through. So you can try the yield slider, and that should adjust it for you, Santos Forge. If that doesn't work, then you're down to the tools again. Then you're down to sculpt layered and kind of pushing this around and getting those to work around that. So those are kind of your three options. Is try thickness, that probably won't work. Yield should work. If yield doesn't work, you are down to your tools. But yeah, like I said, this is the tacit asset. Nothing wrong with this asset from Character Creator. It just always gives me problems. All right, let's go ahead and add our regular shirt back onto it. I'm going to delete Bumpy Shirt because it's going to, it's triggering my OCD. All right, and I'll drag that there. And now let's go ahead and hit import cloth and accessories. We've got our belt. Let's go ahead and do our pants. He's looking weird with no pants on. Outer glove, shoulders, pants. There's his pants. And grab our normal map for those. These are really good assets. I really like these assets that they made. The creator of this in Fab. I think these are really good assets. Same thing, if you wanted to, you could pull those hands away from the pants. It won't cause an issue. But just to show you what that issue looks like if he has it more in a pose that was like this, where his hands are like really close to his waist or something like that, and you just didn't move them away, you will... Oh, it didn't even do it this time. So sometimes it pulls it. I gotta get closer. I gotta get even closer. Gotta get... Because these are so tight to his legs, it's less of an issue. But if he had a dress, if he had something a little bit more flowy, there you go. It starts to pull those sides. If you have a tight pose and something flowy, it can cause issues like that. That's why sometimes I pull those arms into a T-pose away from the sides. But this one's not going to cause an issue. Brings it in. Bring it underneath. There's our layer stack. Beautiful. Beautiful. Let's import another piece. Cloth and accessories. We've got the pants. Let's grab the shoulders. And there we go. There's our shoulders. Let's grab our normal map. I see a question in the chat I'm going to answer in just a second. Every time I say bear with me, because apparently that's the phrase of the day. Morgan, if you're watching this, Morgan likes to edit these videos. Morgan edits these videos for me. Morgan, if you're watching, every time I say bear with me, put a little bear right here. Put a little bear somewhere for the shorts. All right. So these are shoulders. So shoulders, we don't have a pauldron or anywhere area. So this is, once again, this is where categorizing becomes up to you. How do you want this to go? Because all this categorization is where do you find it when you're doing the search filters. It doesn't change how anything is rigged or anything like that. So I can call this a backpack. I could call this a vest. I could call this a shirt. Oftentimes I'll call pauldrons backpacks, or depending on how much they cover the person, I might call them a vest. This one I think I'm going to call backpack. And I'll hit keep source dimensions. Comes across our character. Next step. Next step. Let's see here. Let's see how our pose match works on this. Let's give them, will animation work? Well, animation does work. And that's working really nice. So the animation's working. You can see the shoulders aren't necessarily moving like shoulders. I can't say anything about that right now. I'm legally not allowed to say that those shoulders are clipping and moving and skinned in a weird way. I'm not legally allowed to talk about that. All right, beyond that, but they are fitting his body nicely. I was more checking the animation to make sure that this belt strap didn't attach to the arm, and it did not. So everything is moving as I expect it to. Except for, I mean, like, that's climbing up those shoulders. They just clip a little bit. And I can't talk about that. I'm not allowed to. I've been forbidden, verboten. But no, that's sitting really nicely on our character there. Let's get some more pieces. How fine can the smoothing tool shape around an avatar that a shirt might not have been designed for, like more extreme stylized body types or genders? Well, let's take a look. We'll do it, Middle Monster. Do you think it would work if I want to adjust the armpit of an A-pose avatar and adjust it first in a T-pose avatar and save it as a new asset version? That is actually one of my suggestions. I do suggest that if you've got some really tight clothing or you've got some issues like that, putting it on an avatar in a different pose is definitely a way to avoid some of those weird skin weighting issues. So absolutely. So if your avatar's in a tight A-pose and your shirt's in a T-pose, flip it over to an avatar in a T-pose, get that shirt in your library, it'll create the proper skin weights, and then flip that over to your avatar in an A-pose. That's a great way to work around that. It might still cause some issues. There are always hiccups when there's really tight poses because those meshes, it's auto-rigging, it's a hard time finding that proximity, but everything can be adjusted with the sculpting tools and stuff like that. But Witlinks, that what you suggested is a suggested workaround for odd pieces of clothing. Middle Monster, Polar Bear, very cool. And then Santos, one more question. If you were to add a cape or a poncho, what's the best way to do it in terms of posing? So capes and ponchos, oftentimes I'll just bring the arms forward. If I have a cape, I will show you that, but a lot of times I lay it on the back. I don't move the legs because I want that kind of reacting to the legs and the butt and the hips, but I will bring the arms forward and put them into like a zombie pose, A pose, T pose, zombie pose. I will put it, or Macarena pose, but I'll put those arms forward so those arms don't necessarily touch the cape, but everything else in the cape should work just fine. Capes work great. So that would be the only difference I would do, is I'd pull those arms forward on that start post so they don't move the cape when he's doing his A to T or T to A. All right, so I was going to show how, let's throw it on a different gender. This is perfect because I have the female avatar. Female, what did I call it the other day when I was testing this? Human female instead of adventure female. Let's transfer it over. So this is the actual model that these were made for, but the alternative, it worked too well. It worked too good. They modeled the armor around the female's anatomy. And so those pieces they had to create 2 pieces for. With METATAILOR, we just had to create 1 piece and it worked across. Now it did talk about different body proportions, how detailed can the smoothing and stuff like that get. And you'll see it just kind of sculpted around the character. I don't need to smooth it. But if I wanted to say take my shrink wrap tool and sculpt the original, I could come in here and kind of push this a little bit tighter where her hips are a little bit different. I'm on the surface, so let's actually jump over to world space. So I'm adjusting both the belt and that at the same time. And let's kind of come under here and just kind of shape some of that. So you can get pretty detailed in there. And let's take our smoothing tool. I probably don't need to do the smoothing tool just yet, but you could definitely take that smoothing tool and we can let it clip through a little bit because the functionality of this, and let's go back to surface and shrink wrap and just touch this belt up, surface, and just kind of get just that belt, and let's hit confirm and see how that does. So I messed the belt up a little bit there, but everything else, all that clipping was resolved, all that smoothing was resolved. Let's just fix the belt real quick. Let's take a push-pull, sculpt original, and just kind of pull that back out. Whoops, push you in, and pull, oops, I'm hitting the wrong button. There we go, pull you back out. There we go, confirm. And there we go. Now this is another really cool thing I can show you guys. This belt is struggling with this. So here's the belt. The belt is sitting on top, but this belt right here has this little bit of fabric. So these 2 things, we got the belt that is on our piece right here, but that fabric is not layering properly. This is a really cool tool I can show you guys. So I did not think I'd be able to show this tool, but I can. So on this fabric right here, this fabric exists on the Fantasy Adventure belt. What I can use is I can use a layer mask tool, and I'm going to hit Sculpt Original, and I'm going to come into my layer mask tool in my Sculpt Original, and this essentially lets me paint my effects layering specifically. So it isn't doing great just yet, so let's actually hit Cancel. I want to get this into the right position, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of our chest piece. And now this is kind of sitting right there. If I want to, I can now take this and let's turn off effects layering, see what that does. So it's staying in relatively the same shape. Nothing is affecting it. Let's take our layer mask, sculpt layered, sculpt it as it is. And I'm going to just paint this top piece right here. I'm going to bring my radius down a little bit. I'm on surface, so I'm just going to paint right there. Perfect. This piece right here, I don't want affected by the layer stack. So with layer mask, I can do that. I'll go ahead and hit confirm. That is now sitting there, and I will go back to my content browser and I'll add my chest piece back to this and watch and see how this is adjusted. Bring you underneath here. And now this is not being bent by the chest piece. The chest piece is still bending it a little bit, and down here where we didn't paint that, but now the belt is sitting over this is sitting over that, and it's sitting properly. If I wanted to take this chest piece, I could say, get rid of you for a moment and turn off effects layering, and you'll see this sitting like that. It's not being affected, it's not being moved. I can come in here and use my layer mask, sculpt original, and just kind of paint in here and make sure none of this is affected. Make sure this belt isn't affected and stuff like that, and give it a nice strong paint right here, and hit confirm. Turn effects layering back on. And now that's not being affected by you. Let's take you, let's hit layer mask on you, sculpt layered. Let's actually flood this with nothing. Let's see if this might give us a better, oops, other way, flood fill. Confirm, let's turn it off. There's that. All right, so there we go. So now that's over this, but it's under the belt. The belt isn't moving. If we want this to, if we want the belt to move a little bit, nah, I think that's pretty good. We'd have to start to adjust the belt. But now we've kind of mixed these two. We've mixed these two a little bit. If I wanted the belt to move a little bit, we could go back to our layer mask, sculpt original, and we could turn some of this down again. Let's grab our radius real small, maybe adjust it very slightly right there. Right like that. Oops. Now let's see how that works. Ooh, it's starting to tuck it in. It's going the wrong way. I didn't want it to tuck it in. So layer mask, sculpt layered. Make this really strong again. Give us full strength. Put that right back on you, right back on you. Now let's hit confirm. Let's see, is it gonna, it's saving that in that position. So let's take you, layer mask, sculpt original. So it's taking a little bit of trial and error to get you to work. All right, so you are under, but I want you, turn off effects layer. Why are you, I think we must have messed it up. Let's hit reset to original. There we go. Drag you right here. Drag you, so you're there, you're there. Maybe it's too tricky. Maybe getting those two, like this small piece right here, might be a little too tricky, and the easier option is just to pull you out like that. All right, layer mask, sculpt original. Now that you're out there, give you right there, confirm. Still fighting me on it. That's much closer. I'm getting there. There we go. A lot better. Not quite, but a lot better. But that's his layer mask, is it lets you layer those two a little bit better. I just kind of got locked in there for a second. Let's shake out of that. Is it better to adjust the original or the layer? It depends on what you're doing. So remember, original brings it back to its original shape, and you're adjusting it that way. Shane prefers, so Shane, our developer, the creator of METATAILOR, prefers sculpt original. He does sculpt original for everything. To me, I see the benefit in sculpt layered. Sculpt layered lets you sculpt it as it is in that moment, with all the transforms, with all of our tailoring already applied. So it really just depends on a use case, case-by-case scenario, what you think is better. Personally, I do sculpt layered more than sculpt original, but you can see I bounce between the two, trying to find the right angle. Do I want that piece to be moving from its original state or the layered state? Once you do sculpt layered, that becomes its new original state, so that's where it kind of becomes destructive, but that's where you can bounce between those two and affect it that way. I thought I remembered hearing you say you could add some bones and physics to clothing. I have been looking to add loads of software, so not 100% sure, does that functionality exist in METATAILOR? It does, Middle Monster, and we will do that next. I will do that for you. I'll add a cape, Middle Monster, I'll add a cape for Santos Forge, and I'll add physics for you, Middle Monster. But before we get into that, let's quick grab the rest of these pieces. And I promise I will stop getting distracted. We've got our belt. Let's do our bicep strap. Now this is a bicep strap. I can add a normal map to this if I wanted to. And this is where we have our amazing, I call this a belt. Much to the chagrin of Shane, I call this a belt. Oh, I got the wrong avatar. Why do I have the wrong avatar? Because we are still working on the female version. And I want this to be a lot easier. So let's find Adventure Male. Who's doing all that on the wrong avatar. Adventure Male. Change avatar. That way, it's a lot easier to load. While that's transferring, let me open up my alignment chart. So, across the live streams, for the last couple of months, if you've been hanging out with us, we have Shane and I get into fights, fist fights, physical altercations, about what we consider a belt. Shane is a belt truist and wants belts to be belts. I, on the other hand, do not care what I call a belt, and have called many, many different things across the streams belts, and eventually I have decided to create an alignment chart of what I think is a belt. Now let me open up OBS and make sure my big head's not too far in the way. It is a little bit in the way. Woo, wrong one. Don't move you. Don't move you. Move you. There we go. So, a lawful good belt, of course, is a belt. A chaotic good belt is when we did a live stream and I made this rubber ducky a belt. It's around the waist. It's where a belt belongs, so that kind of works for a belt. Now, today, I have a new belt. This belt is belt-shaped, which I think kind of falls under the lawful or neutral, because this is not belt-shaped. So it is belt-shaped, but it is not going where a belt goes. Now, is that an evil position for this belt, to call a belt on the arm? I don't know if it's true evil. Something that's not belt-shaped, not in a belt place. Something that is belt-shaped. This is very much belt-shaped. So I think we're in the lawful category. But is it lawful evil? I don't think so. Lawful evil, I think, would be putting a belt around I'm not going to finish that sentence. So I think this falls under lawful neutral. So that we will add this to our alignment chart. We've got our belt. Let's go ahead and import this in. A belt around other parts of the body I think would be considered evil. But just around a bicep strap, calling this a belt, I don't think is the end of the world. And how can I display this on the bicep? How can we show this off? Upper body for Photoshop. We're going to call this a belt. Call this keep source dimensions. There we go. I think this is perfect. On the forearm right here, a nice belt on the forearm. Let's take a snapshot of this and add this to our document, to our alignment chart of what Shane and I, let's get the hand in here so we can actually see where it is on the body. Add this to our alignment chart of where Shane and I argue what is and what is not a belt. And let me quick crop this, and I will show you guys what I've created. There we go. There's our Photoshop. We have now updated our Photoshop with a new belt. Lawful neutral on the forearm right there. I think that's appropriate. Awesome. Next step, we got our belt in. I am very interested in being a participant in this moral predicament. Please, Middle Monster, you can have a vote. So a headband is an evil belt, or is it a hat? Well, it depends. If it's belt shaped and you put it in the belt category, it's mostly for what is in the belt category, what I consider in my belt category, which we can look at in just a moment. Let's pull this underneath the shoulder pad there so it's in the proper layer stack order. Let's take a look at what I've considered belts in the past. All clothing category, belts, and get rid of adventure. So you can see I call bracers bracers are belts because they wrap around. I have called rubber duckies belts. I've called mid-armor belts. I've called armlet belts. This is a whole frag belt. So bow tie, calling a bow tie a belt around where a bow tie goes. I don't want to get censored by YouTube or my shorts. A bow tie I think would fall under the lawful evil or chaotic evil or neutral evil. So that's an evil line right there. Would be a bow tie, and it would be. And if I ever have to do another bow tie, I think let's quick grab our bow. Let's take. If I can grab that bow tie, if I can get a 3D shot of that bow tie, maybe I'll add that to our alignment chart as well. Bow tie, I think, is definitely considered, or a tie and stuff like that. So those are some of the things I've called a belt. This pauldron I've called a belt, where other pauldrons I've called a backpack. So where does it fall in that alignment chart of what I've done as belts in the past? Necklaces, once again, that's on that evil line. Putting belts around the neck, I think, kind of falls under that evil line right there. Leg holsters and stuff like that. That is what's in my belt categories and my alignment chart. You could also use some kind of belt. Yeah, you got it, Whitlinks. You got my chaotic evil. Is belts as a choker. Kind of falls on that. That is my evil line. Belts around the neck. That's definitely not where belts go. I've moved my shirt too far forward, and it is over our pauldrons. So let's pull our pauldrons up a little bit. There we go. Import cloth and accessories. We gotta get boots on. He's raw dogging it. He's got his dogs out. Boots. Normal map. Lower body. Next. Shoes. Accessories. And you'll notice I've done one shoe. We've talked about shoes in the past. Shoes, I always bring in shoes as one shoe. So I will, if it comes as two shoes, I will always delete one of the shoes. It always happens to be the right shoe, and I will just mirror that over because that is so much easier. He is almost done. Let's grab a couple more cloth and accessories. I'm going to skip the glove for now. We got our hair. The hood is neat. And then that's it. Right? I don't know why I said it like that. Oh, I got the backpack. The backpack was just a big piece that we could add. So this is just like a little piece that's under his shirt. Upper body. This could be a belt. This could be a belt. I'm not going to use two pictures for the same character. This could be a belt, or we could call this... What do we want to call it? Do I want to call it a shirt? this hood. I'll call it a jacket because it's open. My rhyme or reason is purely my own brain. There is no logic behind it. So that sits on top. You can see it's not quite tucking in. So this is interesting. So we want this over the shoulders, but we want this under. So this might be another good instance of using the layer masking to get this in here. Because if I pull that over, that goes over everything, but I don't want that over everything, but I do want you tucked in. And I want my shoulders above that. So yeah, this might be a good instance of using layer masking to get this actually underneath this chest piece here. I'm not going to do it right now. Or am I? Because layer masking takes a really long time to get right. So I'm definitely not gonna do it right now. And see if it works. Almost. It needs to crush pretty far into the body. So once again, that's probably just better as a grab tool. We'll make it make that way bigger. Make that way bigger. And I'm on surface instead of world space. There we go. Awesome. Import cloth and accessory. We got our hood. We got our shoulders. We got our pants. Got our boots. Okay, so let's do the glove. He's got two gloves. He's got an inner glove and an outer glove. And so this is a fingerless glove. I have not actually done a fingerless glove. So this will be interesting. Fingerless gloves are tackled in a different way. And we're overtime. I'm going to keep going overtime, everybody. Stick with me. We got everybody. We're vibing. We're chilling. Let's do this glove together. I have not done a fingerless glove. A fingerless glove I've given suggestions on, but I've never actually accomplished because I avoid it. Because our glove system, and that's for the left hand, our glove system does not support fingerless gloves. Our glove system is amazing, but after this point, I have to try to eyeball out here in the world where it goes, and there's nothing to kind of place that. So we can now put you there, and then go 1, 2, 3, and you there, and 1, oops, 2, 3, and you there, 2, 3. And let's see what happens when I do this. So there's all these pieces, like you have no home. So you got put to the center. So I need to kind of make a hand that matches this. Where would this thumb piece go? And so this is where it can get maybe a little difficult, because we are hoping to match this to the skeleton thumb. And I'm not working off a hand, which is difficult. And I'm not working in orthographic views, which is difficult as well. All right. So I think it would have been better. You know what would have been better? Let's go previous step. Let's do this. Wrist, thumb. Let's just do really close, because that's going to get us center mass. Knuckle, 2, 3. Knuckle, 1, 2, 3. Knuckle, 1, 2, 3. Ooh, that was rough. Knuckle, 1, 2, 3. All right. Because we can go back in and fix this after. So we can bring the tip out, down, and over. And that's a little bit better. And I can bring you to just about right outside the glove right there. So that's a lot easier. So same with, let's bring the tip all the way down to where I think the finger should be, right about there. And then I'll start working my way down the knuckles. This would be a second knuckle, sitting right about there. And then our third knuckle would sit once again right outside, say, the glove here. But we're already pretty close to center mass, so that's working pretty good. Let's bring the tip down. So this is a workaround because we don't support fingerless gloves. And if this doesn't work, I'll just delete it and you'll pretend you never saw this. We'll be working off this and nobody will say I did this. You'll all hold the secret for me. I'll keep secrets for me if this doesn't work. Morgan won't watch this long. Morgan will give up before now. There we go. All right, next one. Pull you over a little bit better. And let's do the same thing. Rocking and a rolling. Yeah, we're doing good. We're doing good. Next one. Oof, oof. Don't turn the camera. Don't turn the camera. And so being able to go back in and edit these is super helpful for other things as well. But for this fingerless glove, it's letting us test a theory. Now, I say this is a theory because Shane and I have suggested this to people to try. Like, we think this should work. And I've never had the opportunity to do it. And now I have the opportunity to do it. All right, that's pretty good. Next step. Let's see. Moment of truth. Oh, that worked way better than I thought it would. Oh, that's fantastic. All right, so you can see a couple things are happening. The hand is looking great. The wrist right here is having trouble. That's because there was no bone for the rest of the wrist. Everything else is kind of fitting around that. So first off, let's take our thickness. Let's also come down to our value. Let's make this a little darker so we can see that stand out against the hand. The fingers are looking great. The fingers are looking fantastic. So to fix the top of the hand, I'm going to start with like, let's try a 2x2 lattice and see if we can't just move this to fit a little bit better on top of the wrist here. Maybe we have to go, maybe we still have to go to a 3x3 to make sure we're not affecting the hand at all. But that right there, I think that let's hit confirm and see what that does. There's our bone, that fit. Oh my goodness gracious. I'm a wizard. Let's take our push pull, sculpt layered. Because I want to keep it in this, and let's just give it a little, let's turn that strength down, let's turn that radius down, let's just give it a little more weight in here. Just a couple little light clicks, light clicks, light clicks, light clicks. Hold down smooth, a little bit smaller, just kind of touch you back into place. Let's go to relax. Relax kind of stretches those verts back into their original position, kind of get that looking a little bit better. Let's hit confirm and see if it fixes this little part for us. Oh, it's really close. It's really close. Grab. Sculpt layered. Bring that way down and just out. Just out. Smooth. Smooth that out. Smooth that out. Confirm. This is one of the best pair of gloves I've ever put on a character. And I did it fingerless. Now let's test it. That clipping is more Mixamo not knowing how to handle hands, but otherwise that looks really good. And if I need to, let's save where I'm at in case I crash. And let's mirror it over. Oh, those are some of the best gloves I've done. I'm happy with that. Cloth and accessories. Now he has an outer glove as well. This glove does not have finger holes. So this glove I will not be calling a glove because the glove requires those fingers. This glove instead I will be taking and calling it a belt. And once again, we can't do alignment charts for multiple characters. We can't do like everything on this guy, but I'll call this a belt. Easy peasy. Apply source dimensions. Next step. That's a bracer. Next step. That sits on top of our glove. Let's mirror that over and let's check chat. I'm sorry, I think a lot of things you consider belts could also be considered a skirt. Absolutely not. It's a belt. A skirt is just a belt with frilly bits. That's cool. I hadn't tried adding gloves yet. Absolutely. I'm telling everyone if this doesn't work, Blue Universe channel, no. Maybe instead of placing points, you could have a posable, scalable dummy hand. We've talked about that, Middle Monster. That has been posited in our development chats and stuff like that as a potential solution. That is, it's a bigger haul than just saying we should do this. But no, that is something we have considered, and that might come to fruition in METATAILOR 8. It's not METATAILOR 3, I know that much. If you could see the full rig of what you are putting the asset on, it might be more intuitive. Yes, especially for the hand. For all the other ones, it does that, but for the hand, because the way it works, the body gets in the way, it's a little bit harder. There needs to be some slightly better camera functionality before that can come true, but you are absolutely right, Middle Monster. Seeing the hand would have helped with that. Also, orthographic views. We need to get some orthographic views. Great demonstration and work. Thank you, Blue Universe channel. You believed in me the whole time. Witlinks, is there any way to add custom animations? Because depending on the character, they don't always retarget perfectly. Right now, there is not. The animations in here are Mixamo animations, so you could export this out and put this character in Unreal or something like that for those Mixamo animations to get custom animations on them. So these rigs, that's how this is working. But there is not a way to add our own animations to this. If there's some Mixamo animations you'd really like to see, I could try and ask our developers to add that for us. If there's I always test with this Mixamo animation, I'm trying to spin the camera on my OBS screen. I can ask them to try that, but otherwise, no, there is not a way to add your own animations. We have quite a big list, including, where are you? Skin weights test. But as of right now, there is not a way to add your own custom animations. I think that's it. I think that's all the pieces besides the backpack we can quick grab. Shoulders, pants, outer gloves, hood, hair, glove, boot, strap, belt, backpack. Which we can add the backpack, but the backpack we're going to get rid of in just a second to throw a cape on to talk about capes and physics. So this keep source dimensions kind of worked because it's already factoring in all those shoulders and stuff, so I could probably keep this as is, but then it won't work for other characters, so I do want to make this a little bit tighter. And hit confirm. Because I'm not necessarily just using it for this character. I will let METATAILOR do that stretching for me, and there we go. All those pieces from Unreal brought in onto this character, full side of the pipeline there. And now we can jump from avatar to avatar. So if I could even go to that adventure female, I can go back to Big Kev if I wanted to. Apply this from Character Creator 4. And now this outfit works for any avatar. I don't have to import any of these pieces ever again. The gloves didn't quite work on his hand. That's okay, they'll take a little tweaking, but everything else works just fine. I can go back to our adventure. No, it's a female avatar is what I just named it, I think. I didn't call it. Yep, there it is. Human female. She has her own hair, so that's why the hair is being weird, so I can just clear the hair. But there you go. So that artist did not need to. They didn't know this, but they didn't need to sculpt it twice. They could have just sculpted it once and put it in METATAILOR. But there we have it. All right. So we've shown this part. We've shown Unreal to METATAILOR. Let's go back to Unreal. Let's do that with something slightly different. Let's go ahead and, well, let's grab our cape first. Let's grab a cape first. Let's clear you out. Let's clear you out. I'm just going to clear some of the things just so we can see this cape a little bit better. Let's go back to, and let's clear our gloves out. I don't need the gloves bugging out. Let's go back to Adventure Mail. So the armor fits just a little nicer. And so I don't have to do any shrink wraps or anything like that. Let's go to, and now let's find a cape. The Stalwart cape is very nice. This cape from Daz is very nice. This is a Daz cape. Now let's talk about physics. So we have physics in here. I can click on physics, and what it does is it creates a proxy mesh for everything. And once it's done creating a proxy mesh for everything, I can click on said cape. And I can hit auto-generate parameters, and it gives it real-time physics. These physics can be exported out and brought into Unreal. It just takes an extra step of moving it over to the red channel. But then if I wanted to, I could also do my running, and there it is. If I don't like the way it's moving, I can manually generate. I hit auto on accident, but I can hit manually generate and hit paint blending. And let's say I wanted this to move more. I'm on full strength. I could paint all these physics all the way up, and you can see it starts to slip off our character. It's much looser. I can bring that back down and make this a little bit more stiff right around here. Bring that strength even farther down. Make this really stiff, and not only the bottom's going, it feels like everything else is tacked as well. If I wanted to, I could flood the whole thing like this, and that's kind of how it is without the physics. Bring this back in and start painting that back up. Paint that in anywhere you think it might be clipping. Giving it nice, strong paint, and there it goes again. Confirm if you wanted to. What I've been playing with is I can set you to 0, and I can set you to -9.8, -9.8. And now he's running in the breeze, and that gives you a good sense of where it's like sticking to. You can see it's sticking to the back of the legs. So I can go back to my manually generate parameters, paint blending, and I must have something down here that is not full strength, and there we go. Now it's full strength. Same with on like the side over here. I must have something on the side over here that's not full strength, and now it's full strength. And you can see him running in the breeze. There's your physics. And like I said, it's real time, so I can grab it, I can move it, I can adjust it like that. That only exists in our physics preview. If we go back to design, it goes back without any physics. So there's our physics. Now let's send it all back to Unreal, but let's get them changed. Let's go to my assemblies. Let's get rid of cape, and let's throw on, we've played with the university one, we've played with some of these before. We could do, now I'm just picking. Let's make him look like Zoe from K-pop Demon Hunters. I haven't given K-pop Demon Hunters any love lately. There we go. This is how I imagine K-pop Demon Hunters in my mind. This is how it plays out. Well, let's fix the hair a little bit. There we go. Just a little thickness slider right there. This is amazing. All right, let's go back to Unreal. We've had Unreal minimized this whole time. Let's go back to Unreal. Let's go back to our characters, our meshes, underneath, where are you? Modular stylized characters. Then we had it under meshes, and then we had it under skeletal meshes, and we had it under characters, and no. We had it under, where did I put it? Characters, meshes, not characters, was it male? There it is, male avatar. Here is our wonderfully cel-shaded male avatar. Open up that blueprint. Why are you not opening? Are you opening a different window? Is that why? You are. Where? Where? Where are you? I guess I can close out of you and try again. All right, let's try that again. There it is. Okay, that was weird. All right, go to our viewport. Here's our mail. He's ready to go. Let's say receive from METATAILOR. Go back over to METATAILOR. Go to our export. Call it a K-pop Demon Hunter. And let's send this outfit over to Unreal. Successfully exported. Go back to Unreal Engine. Where are you hiding? Where are you hiding? There's the error message, so I can click on you. And there he is. Same avatar, different outfit, dressed in our K-pop Demon Hunter fit. All right, there is our full pipeline, everybody. Showing you how to get outfits out of Unreal into Maya, touch them up, get them into METATAILOR, get them on any avatar, swap those avatars if you need those, and send that back to Unreal. It is 12:30. You guys have been in a fantastic audience. That feels like the wrong word because we've been hanging out. Audience isn't this much participation. You guys are just an amazing community. I was going to bring in a brand new avatar, but you guys already saw me bring in an avatar with the bridge, so I will be holding off on that today. You'll see those avatars eventually. I'll definitely be playing with those. But thank you for that. Let's see. Do you know if METATAILOR has a Python API? It does. Publicly, no. It does not. If you are a studio or if you are somebody who, like an enterprise level, you can talk to us and we can explain more on that further. But right now, no. That is not in any sort of public build. Can you make certain assets more rigid so that they won't reshape like armor? Silence Middle Monster. I'm not allowed to talk about that. That is against the rules. I'm not allowed to talk about any sort of rigidity or anything like that. Completely forbidden. Amazing job, by the way. Thank you, Whitlix. Thank you, Middle Monster. Thank you, everybody. Blue Universe, B-Rad, everybody who's been hanging out with me. 2K, everybody but Morgan. Santos Forge. Hopefully I answered all your questions. It was an amazing live stream. Like I said, we went about a half hour over, which is absolutely fine, but we were able to cover anything. For July, I have at least 2 streams before SIGGRAPH where I don't have any content for just yet, so feel free to suggest stuff in the Discord. I'll drop the Discord link right now for anybody who wants to join us on Discord, if I had it open. Where are you? Where are you? You are. Share. Invite to server. Edit link. It never expires. Generate new link. Copy. Let's go there. Let's go to just me on the OBS so you can stop looking at my Unreal. There we go. Yeah, as always, thank you all so much for hanging out with me. That was a lot of fun. Great finals episode. We passed the test. Don't save. Close out of my METATAILOR. Make sure I'm not going to crash here at the end. But yeah, that was really fun. Love the stream. Thank you, Blue Universe channel. Thank you, everybody. Middle Monster, like I was saying, talking about rigidity. Not allowed. Keep an eye out on our socials. Stuff like that. But that's it, everybody. That's it for me. I don't think I have anything else. Nice. Learned a lot from this. Amazing. I love it when everybody learns amazing things. That's the whole goal. That's the whole point of all this, is to teach you guys. I will be here next Thursday, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. That seems to be a good time, especially because we have all of you hanging out with us and chatting. We'll keep that up. Amazing class. Thank you, Whitlinks. We're back to our regular scheduled programming. I'll figure out something for next week. I see those unpainted miniatures. I don't have time. Yes, I got all my little unpainted miniatures back there. I don't have time. I got too many hobbies. But I do love them. My favorite is unpainted. I'm just hanging out with you guys. I bought this a while ago. Okay, will it focus? Will it focus? He's my favorite. He's unpainted. I don't have the heart to paint him because I don't think I'm a good enough painter. It's from Humblewood, my little owl knight. He hangs out with me on every stream. One of my 92 hobbies. But I got more next to me. I got those back there that still need to get painted. I have a couple painted over here. You can't see them because it's all blurry. My background's all blurry, but I do have some painted up there. That's where they end up when they get painted. Very cool. Thank you all for hanging out. Thanks for the Universe channel. Humblewood. They're on Kickstarter right now. I don't know if they have their main page, but Humblewood. Absolutely fun. I want one. You can find it. Message me if I can find the link for you. Amazing people. Amazing team. I love playing D&D. That's it. I love my miniatures. I love you all. You've been fantastic. Thank you. Keep coming to these streams. I'll just sit here and hang out with you guys if I don't hang up or close this stream down. So thank you all for hanging out. Thank you. Go get dressed. I'll see you next week.